Sir.
Now, the Concussive Mine and the Flashbang are two cooldowns we have to really keep an eye on against this style of play.
Be absolutely huge against these damage duos coming out from the Shock. Sinatra taking a lot of damage, has to go ahead. Exit into the back, pick up that Mega Pack. Already the one tick going to be snatched up by the Shock, just playing down below the Dynasty. And finally do drop down. Fleta manages to find the first kill, but Sinatra coming in with the Seismic Slam, manages to cut that McCree down to size. Wasn't playing right up into the face of the rest of the Shock members, however, comes up with two, helps pop Troy out of that mech after taking down Sinatra, and is now looking to finish off Smurf. He's still rather healthy on that Wrecking Ball. It's just going to be looking to peel back in all likelihood, but Moth will get caught up in the fire and the explosions. Let's get taken down.
Shock need this composition to steamroll. There's not an ult win condition like the Genji compositions we just watched on Temple of Anubis. You need to kill everyone early.
Well, Fleta gonna be taken down. Sinatra pushing forward. Nano boost out from Violet. Gonna keep everybody topped up here. Chance to get that Seismic Slam hit going in. Violet snipes Illicit's tire out of the air. Now the Meteor Strike coming through in the cafe. They got to sleep on the Jexay. The Transcendence will do nothing to save his life. He is gone. Striker gets the Pulse Bomb in. Marvel gets eliminated. And that is the Shock taking point A in style.
Very stylish indeed, but that's the kind of snowball that you really need with this composition. And they made it work, you know, and killing the Mercy especially, very important to prevent those resurrects from going off. And now Seoul Dynasty is going to change their composition to match the dive. And Tracer Sombra, something that, you know, a lot of people were talking about thinking we might see with Brigitte, you know, removed from the meta, so to speak, because her role is just not going to be, you know, before her rework, her healing output is not going to be good enough to be played as a support at the moment. And Bled actually swaps over to the Reaper, interestingly enough. It's going to be hard to control high ground with that.
Yeah. Sinatra taking a little bit there, the minefield. Mostly going to be up top, deterring anybody from going up to match the San Francisco Shock. Cart going to be contested here for the moment. Swing comes in from Smurf, gets that single knock up off the back of the pile driver. Now highly going to be taken down by Striker in the back lines. Roll forward, looking to displace Fleta, but goes into that raid form. Now he's looking to go toe-to-toe against Sinatra. The help of Illicit, certainly able to come out on top of that one, but Striker's still putting in some serious work. Takes down two himself. Fleta gone. So the cart will go ahead and roll.
I don't know if the Reaper is really going to be the right pick here for the Seoul Dynasty. You can't control high ground to poke with this, and that means the San Francisco Shock could continue to just bulldoze their way through with the dive that they're running. And when you're running the Wrecking Ball as well, that extra disruption makes it really difficult to play Reaper. And usually, the Wrecking Ball can live through the Reaper damage and or can escape it.
Striker into the back, looking to assassinate Highly again. Unable to do so this time, but the Sound Barrier comes in from Moth, and he actually also finds the kill on a Marvel. Another Meteor Strike from Sinatra. Takes down Highly. Jexay gonna be gone. Moth getting a bit bloodthirsty here, it would seem, as they just go ahead and clean him up. Your team wipe coming through for the Shock, cruising their way into point B.
Now the Dynasty are gonna have to use this EMP, you know, not where they wanted to. They wanted to use it to contest B.
Pulse into the hallway. A bit of damage in, Highly taken down. Good split spawn, capitalization here from the Shock.
Well, at this stage, you know, I mean, this is incredibly good for the Shock. No one can even get out of spawn here for the Dynasty, and they have ult advantage. I mean, this is Striker visiting their spawn uninvited. He didn't even call first. Seoul Dynasty has got the EMP set up here now for a Death Blossom. But even still, I mean, Choyo Bin could eat that as long as he's not hacked. There's a lot of ways the Shock could shut this down.
Well, EMP going to be tossed out, manages to find four, including Shohyobin. Will go ahead and be the first one to get knocked out of that pick. And Smurf will be taken down just as well. No defense matrix for Fleta here on this Reaper means that all that damage is going to be unmitigated.
We don't really have a term for this, but it's very common to see, you know, if you don't have a support ult to counter the EMP, teams just throw a fight like that by walking in, getting EMP'd and losing it and resetting as fast as possible. And that's what they decided to do. Didn't actually try to fight it. They've got such a good time bank, doesn't matter.
Yeah, effectively getting a push here. Pulse Bomb going to be online. You can hear that Death Blossom coming in. Fleta setting that one up. Goes dangerously low, trying to survive. Didn't yet have that Wraith Walk ready, but the Sound Barrier comes from Jexay to help keep him alive as well. Shohyobin going lower and lower in that mech, trying to stay in the fight. Seems like he will be able to do so as both supports again are going to be gone from the side of the Seoul Dynasty, with Jexay and Highly being eliminated by two different ultimates. Marvel, Primal Rage rolling, but going to be expiring soon. He's going to have to try to exit. See if he can make it out with his life intact. Wraps around the side, helps finish off Striker, but the card has been rolling up in the meantime, and Sinatra manages to take down Fleta. Another punch in, weakens Marvel, can't quite get the finish. You can see the passive shielding building up for this Doomfist. Now has the Meteor Strike coming in again, drops down, looks for the kill there on the Highly, manages to find it, and also gets Michelle out of the mech right at the end. 3 meters away, the cart gonna start rolling up again. Minefield thrown down, Fleta is trying to hide, but he's all alone. That will be the push through, 2:27 on the clock for the Shock.
Sinatra MVP candidate for his Zarya play, but in dive and on the Doomfist, he dominated. He's got the self-sustain with the shielding, and he is just rolling this through. Great time bank here for the San Francisco Shock, and he might even get to run it on the defense here. Very excited to see what he's capable of now that we have 2-2-2 lock in play.
Clean play from the Shock. Let's see how their defense is when we come back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
All right, finishing Hollywood. Shock establish a time of 2:27. Still Dynasty have to push all the way to the end, but I mean, Shock are looking pretty darn good. Sinatra showing off with that Doomfist, but for now on the defense, we'll be shifting over to the Meg.
Indeed. And this is kind of what you would expect to see from Sinatra, given the meta. The Doomfist was flashy and impressive, and you know, people were wondering what we see, what people are calling Hack Fist, the Elemistic Doomfist Sombra. Not really, not yet, but the Tracer Doomfist, the dive, was incredibly successful. Now they have a lot of CC with the halt hook combos. They have hacks, have the slows, freezes, the wall. It's going to be very difficult for Seoul Dynasty to approach a setup like this, and they're always going to be under threat of Sinatra walling them off. Striker from behind as well, while they try to regroup and figure out the best way to approach. He's getting hacks, he's getting a fifth of an EMP. It will be the McCree Hanzo to try to break this open, to break that barrier and get onto the point.
Barriers coming in from Marvel as they try to advance. The hook going to be on cooldown now for Trehoban, unable to lock anybody down. Pushing their way up, into the hammer, and get that extra damage through. Weaken Smurf quite considerably, but he's going to get top back up now. Marvel and Illicit both going to get picked off. They play up onto the high ground. Trehoban coming in on that flank. Flashbang forward, but Flight just doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, and we discussed this problem earlier, Achilles, about the, the Diva versus the Roadhog when we were talking about gods for the Defiant. And this is a similar situation here for Michelle. The Diva doesn't give you a great amount of utility in this composition. In fact, it's a liability. It gives both Sinatra and Striker more battery for their ults. You could easily just chunk out the Diva slowly. And Striker's already at an EMP here. They've got the choke control. A Hog might be much more appropriate against this style of play. You can break the barrier with the barrier break comp you're running, the McCree Hanzo. I'm not sold on this Diva play for Michelle right now.
Fleta already taking a lot of damage, and the EMP comes through, manages to catch out 3. Bionade on top of 2 more. As they just go ahead and push forward, Smurf going to be the only one lost on the side of the San Francisco Shock, but he'll be rezzed and back into the fight with plenty of time to spare before that next fight comes in.
Yeah, and with how poorly the first fight went, Hylia wasn't able to build a Transcends. They knew it. So that's another one of those fights, you know, just like we were talking about before with Shock towards C, where you just lose a fight to EMP and reset. But because of the Mei, Michelle gets staggered so long that it doesn't even feel like it was worth it. Might have been more worth it to try to stay and fight, but they've got an old advantage now.
Half the time going to be gone now. Was it still going to be online? And oh man, Amp Matrix comes through. And the headshots are there on the Marvel. Whole Hog going to be used as well. Overall, not too much of a commitment here for the Shock. They build up 40% of that next EMP.
Oh, we've talked about this a million times already, but right, the teams voted for the 2-2-2 lock, and they've known about it for a long time. But the cool thing about Smurf is he's been outperformed. Your Super's been outperforming him all season long, and that's why he's been in, and Smurf's been on the bench. But this gives an opportunity to Smurf to specialize in this role of Orisa during the off-season between Stage 3 and 4. And because of this, you know, Smurf is playing in a great Orisa right now. He's really showing up on the hero. Not to say that Marvel is that much behind him, but they're clearly not ready to run the Orisa Hog because Michelle's been playing almost exclusively D.Va all series long.
Yeah. Ball coming up, delaying for a little bit longer. Flooded gets that one tap coming around the corner. So we're going to be looking for some kills. Dragon Strike rolling through, not getting too much meaningful damage, so the Supercharger's going to be there. But now Smurf will get finished off by Alyssa. The flashbang in with the fan. The hammer means that Sinatra cannot use that Blizzard. Fleta falls low, but he kites his way back behind the barrier to keep himself safe. But oh boy! Shoyobin on the flank comes up with a kill. Second tick nearly there for this whole Dynasty. They're going to have to get this cap sooner rather than later because there's only 35 seconds remaining on the clock. But Michelle with the bomb cleans up both supports. And they actually turn this one around, though, for the Shock. Striker manages to find the kill here on the Hylia on the back of the EMP. No one else going to be hacked out. Now the Blizzard comes in. They bought enough time for Sinatra to rejoin. Hook coming through on a Michelle. They drag him out of the Blizzard, but here comes Fleta around the corner with that Deadeye ready. Manages to find the snipe on a Smurf. Still buying time, however, are the Shock, draining the clock down as much as possible. Flashbang in, headshots there for Fleta. They will be able to get the cap, but it's only going to be 2.5 minutes on the clock for the Dynasty.
Yeah, that's the same time bank the Shock finished with. Fleta needs to kind of pop off here on this low ground because if it's getting the high ground right now with a McCree is going to take you so much time, and they're already so limited in time. You're going to have to use the elevator to get up there as McCree. Yep. Might just be worth it to swap to Widow here and try to control the high ground that way. Alyssa's going to go over to the Sombra. Looks like they want to keep the McCree for stun potential. Well, as I say that, he does swap over to the Reaper. Again, we saw this on the defense for this whole Dynasty. Very unsuccessful. And now they're going to have the same problems on the offense, you could argue.
Let's see what happens. Mortality Field going to get taken down, but Smurf cut off away from the burst healing of Moth. Will be eliminated. Striker weakened up. Amp Matrix through from Jexay. Also that one down onto the card as they start advancing forward. Have that mobile damage boost coming in. Shoyobin will get melted out of the mech by Fleta. Solid start to the push so far here for the Dynasty, but need to keep that momentum going. Bomb up over the top, takes down Shoyobin. That baby D.Va, but Marvel still gonna get finished off. Moth manages to come up with that kill. Jump over the top, and Alyssa gonna be taken down by Violet.
It's Chaos, but Chaos is good for a Reaper. The lifesteal is gonna keep Fleta alive, and he does massive amounts of damage here. Struggling to find the kill onto Sinatra.
A bit more difficult in that regard.
But, you know, Sinatra has to leave, he just delays. They're gonna have a great fight here, though, with Transcendence when Violet respawns. Fleta just trying to get the last part of that ultimate.
We'll be able to have Trans beat Trans. Shoyobin, however, going to be knocked out of the mech, and the Death Blossom's about to be online, so Fleta has an opportunity here. There's limited mitigation coming through. Now Smurf as well going to be taken out. Sinatra trying to be sneaky, waiting. Sees the jump forward there from Marvel. Doesn't get to use the recall. Highly from the flank actually finishes them off. The EMP is used. It catches all 6 members on the side of the Dynasty, but no one else is there. They'll just cruise through into B.
Yeah, this was a high ground they couldn't fight over. They tried to recontest the point. Striker's going to swap over the Widow anyways. And he has a great line of sight here through this hallway next to C. But the EMP could have arguably been used to delay so much further. You already have the better time bank, but you could have, you know, perhaps even just won the map. Off of a really good EMP fight there and staggering the Dynasty back. Now they have their own EMP, and it should be smooth sailing here if they can catch Violet. Violet's going to have to hit this Transcendence.
Yeah, EMP Blossom could be coming out. Striker getting jumped on by Alyssa, but not before he's able to take down Highly. So very nice pick off from him. Shoyobin tries to make it out of here with that mech still ready to go. Seems like the healing will be good enough from Moth and Violent to keep him alive. HP EMP bars on the side of the Dynasty, especially for the tank line here. Suffering a bit, so orbs have to come through.
Yeah, that's a value orb right there. Highly gets 35% off that orb alone as he heals them up to full. All right, Fled is in high ground. This could be a big Death Blossom, especially if they could demech Choyobin. He's hacked.
Yeah, EMP comes in, manages to catch 2. Striker picks Marvel, now finds Jexay. Highly going to be taken down, and just like the shock, we're straight back into the fight. Blizzard used. And that is it. They get the stop here. We're down to 50 seconds remaining for the Dynasty.
Fled is so indecisive there. He wanted to blossom. There was an opportunity, but he waited because he thought when the EMP happened, maybe I don't need to use this. Maybe I can save this. But the answer was no. The Blizzard buys time. Striker gets the headshots. And now the Shock in pole position to take the lead in this series. 30 seconds to go. The Dynasty have the old advantage still, but breaking through that trance, the immortality field, easier said than done. Especially when they have to go around this corner.
Yeah. Need to set up this Death Blossom. Fleta pushing forward, looking for the kill there on a Smurf. Immortality Field's going to be used, and After makes it into the ice block to last for a little bit longer. Death Blossom now going to be thrown down, but Marvel's going to be the first one to fall. Now Fleta going to be gone. Gets locked up, and Moth, he claims himself too. Gets rid of Illicit as well. The damage duo going to be taken down now. Highly joining him in the grave. Jexay's alive. He's got the sound barrier. Might just have to use it here. Onto the 2 tanks, he can still play forward near the card as soon as he can rejoin. Gonna be zipping his way back in. The barrier comes down. It doesn't catch Marvel though. It only gets Michelle, and the shields don't last very long, nor does it listen to the Doomfist, because Striker keeps putting up the numbers with the Widowmaker. Sinatra with another Blizzard ready to go just to ensure that they get the victory here. Might just throw it down in celebration. We'll do just that. OT dwindles away, and the San Francisco Shock are at match point to claim the Golden Belt.
4 DPS players on this roster.